NBA, Demon God Pangu dominates basketball Immortal Myth. Episode 51. At the same time, on the NBA side, the playoffs have entered the most critical moment. In the Eastern Division, the Milwaukee Bucks, who had the Three Muskets, advanced first to the Eastern Finals. The 76ers, led by Allen Iverson, the league scoring champion, are engaged in a brutal battle with the Raptors, led by Vince Carr/Tur. The two sides drew 3-3 in the first 6 games and are about to face the final tie of 7 battle. Whoever wins will be able to reach the Eastern Conference Finals, so both teams are well prepared. In this round of the series, 26-year-old Allen Iverson and 24-year-old Vince Carr/T both played at a very high level. The Big 7 battle is coming in anticipation of all fans. The match was played by both sides, and the match showed anxiety from the start. Allen Iverson made a change in this game when he didn't feel good, and he began to actively connect teams and help his teammates score more. And his teammates were also very strong in this game, withstood the pressure, and finally defeated the Raptors after a whole game and advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals with a big score of 4-3. Allen Iverson had a double-double of 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 16 assists, and winning this game had a lot to do with his change of play. And Vince Carr/T, this is a comprehensive data of 20 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and the comparison of data is not bad at all. But unfortunately he lost the game in the end. In the West, the Los Angeles Lakers swept the Kings 4-0 early and stepped into the floor of the Western Conference Finals. The San Antonio Spurs are currently leading the Dallas Mavericks 3-1, and the bullhorse battle is almost over. The 5th game between the two sides began, and in the end, the Spurs easily won the game point and met the Lakers in the West. 3 days later, in the 2000-2001 season, the NCAA Finals arrived as scheduled. The game will be played at NRG Stadium, located in Houston, Texas, and is the first professional football stadium in the entire region to have an opening roof, costing up to $450 million. The entire venue covers about 325 acres and can accommodate about 71,900 spectators. Today, the massive stadium will usher in the NCAA's heyday, temporarily transformed into a basketball court. What's even crazier is that the audience was packed, more than 70,000 spectators, which is unmatched by any NBA arena. Inside the arena, Gilbert Arenas looked at these fans, and he suddenly felt that this was simply the pinnacle of his life, and he was as small as an ant. There were more than 70,000 spectators sitting at the scene, and he had never seen such a scene. Not just Arenas, but all the players of both teams are seeing such a scene for the first time. The players on both sides were thrilled, and the pressure was even greater. After all, no one has ever played in front of so many fans. On the contrary, Jiang Pan still looked very calm, and his heart hardly fluctuated. At this moment, what he was thinking about was that more than 70,000 spectators at the scene would cheer for him together, and that scene would definitely be extremely shocking. In fact, the fans watching the match were far more than the more than 70,000 people in the scene. Leaving aside the fans of the United States, the fans of the Celestial Empire alone are now sitting in front of the TV to watch this game, and they have exceeded 10 million. Today, the University of Arizona, which reached the NCAA Finals for the first time in team history, will face NCAA superpowerhouse Duke University at this venue. Duke University has a long history and is the best basketball school in the United States, and there are many outstanding players in the history of the team. For example, Grant Hill, Captain Elton Brand, and many more. And this year, they have suddenly appeared 5 players who can make the first round of draft prediction list, and their strength is beyond doubt. A combination of Jay Williams, plus Michael Dunleavy, plus Sean Battier, plus Dundee Jones, plus Carlos Boozer. It can be called the most luxurious first aircraft carrier in the NCAA. They, like the University of Arizona, made it to this season's finals with little effort. In the eyes of most fans, they are far stronger than the University of Arizona. When the players from both sides entered, the reaction of the fans in the entire stadium was very different. When the University of Arizona players came out on the court, there was some applause. When Duke players came out on the court, the fans chanted the championship slogan. From this alone, it can be seen that the popularity of these two teams is completely different from the same level. Even if Jiang Pan now has a hot popularity, he cannot beat the entire Duke University with one blow. Before the start of the game, Jiang Pan was interviewed by reporters, and since today is the NCAA Finals, the interview is more than usual. Jiang. First of all, congratulations on leading your team to the NCAA Finals for the first time, but today's opponents are extraordinary. They have a lot of quality, especially this season. But before this game, you played an incredible performance and became the hottest player of the moment. So in your opinion, do you think you can still play the same explosive performance as you used to today? I think it's inevitable. Jiang Pan nodded and answered with great certainty. In the last game, I blew up Zach Randolph, who is known as the first interior lineman in the NCAA. And that's the best proof of that. Zach can't do it. Do you think Carlos can stop me on the inside? Jiang Pan not only answered him very affirmatively, but even asked the reporter rhetorically, I'm expecting a great showdown between you. The reporter did not answer positively, but cleverly avoided the question. He continued, today's stadium is very different from the past. The audience is almost 3 to 4 times as large as before. Do you feel nervous in front of such a huge audience? Jiang Pan shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, nervous? It's those fans who should be nervous. As soon as this remark came out, the reporter was stunned. He looked at Jiang Pan a little blankly. What does this mean? The corners of Jiang Pan's mouth curved, because they must be ready to cheer at any time. Hearing this answer, the reporter was even more confused. What kind of plane is this guy engaged in? Episode 52. I never thought I'd be able to sit here one day and explain the NCAA finals. The appearance of Jiang Pan has brought us too many surprises. He led the University of Arizona all the way to the finals with an absolute crushing attitude, and we were fortunate to see such a game. In the CTV5 live broadcast room of the Celestial Empire, Su-kun and Zhang Li will partner to explain the NCAA finals. Before the start of the game, the two commentators also carried out a serious analysis of the game. Today's protagonist is still Jiang Pan. In the last game, he set a new personal scoring high, and even his draft prediction has risen to number 2, which is unique. I've never seen a player who can squeeze into draft's draft prediction list after just playing a few games and still be a top 3 pick. Before analyzing the game, Zhang Reasonable praised Jiang Pan for a while. When he saw the performance of Jiang Pan in these matches, he has now completely become his fan, and it is not an exaggeration to say that he is Jiang Pan's number 1 fan. That's right. Indeed it is. That guide is from your point of view and rational analysis. What kind of trend will this game show? Su-kun asked. From my point of view, of course, I hope that Jiang Pan can lead the team to victory, and I think this is what all the fans of the Celestial Empire are looking forward to. But to say rational analysis, I think it is not easy for the University of Arizona to win the championship, and today's opponent is not simple. After all, Duke's squad this season is really good, there are almost no weaknesses, and the offensive and defensive ends are very balanced. It's no exaggeration to say that this team is made for championships. From the last game, you will find that Jiang Pan's defensive area is very wide, he can defend beyond the 3-point line, and even take care of 2 people. But Duke University has 5 strong points. Even if Jiang Pan is powerful, it is impossible to prevent them from being a whole team, and this is what I am worried about. Zhang Reasonable made some analysis very seriously, and said it very reasonably. Su-kun also nodded again and again as he listened, and he said, regardless of the victory or defeat of the game, let's talk about the confrontation between Jiang Pan and Carlos Boozer today. Do you think Boozer can restrict Jiang Pan a little? Hearing this question, Zhang said categorically, impossible. Boozer will definitely not be Jiang Pan's opponent. Although Boozer is a good interior player, he is nowhere near as good as Jiang Pan in terms of height and weight. The best reference is Zach Randolph, who claims to be the NCAA's number 1 interior lineman, but he was blown up by Jiang Pan. Even Randolph is not Jiang Pan's opponent, let alone Boozer. These two are not players of the same level. To be precise, in the current NCAA league, no one can match Jiang Pan. His personal ability is the only existence. But now in draft predictions, Jiang Pan is only in 2nd place, and there is another person in front of him. It is Jay Williams of Duke University. Guidance Zhang, which of these two do you think is more worthy of the title? Su-kun then asked. Zhang pondered for a moment on this question. As far as he knows, Jay Williams is recognized as the best player by all college students. He has won Naismith and Wooden Awards, and was named the College Basketball Player of the Year by the Associated Press. If I were the general manager of the team, I would still choose Jiang Pan as the cornerstone of the team. Although Jay Williams is also very good, I think Jiang Pan is more reasonable. Zhang Reasonable is not favoring Jiang Pan, but judging by the performance of the two in the game, he even felt that if Jiang Pan had appeared earlier, those awards might not have had Jay Williams. On the pitch, warm-up time is over, the game is about to begin, and the starting lineups of both sides are on the field. University of Arizona starter, point guard, Josh Jackson, division, Gilbert Arenas, small forward, Richard Jefferson, power forward, Lauren Woods, center, Jiang Pan, Duke University debut, point guard, Jay Williams, quantile, Duntai Jones, small forward, Mike Dunleavy, power forward, Sean Battier, center, Carlos Boozer. From the comparison of the lineups of the two sides, the University of Arizona has an absolute height advantage on the inside, and this is their only advantage. Beep. With the referee's whistle, the NCAA finals are officially on. Both sides jump in the middle circle. Jiang Pan faced Boozer, and the eyes of more than 70,000 fans in the audience were all focused on the two of them at this moment. The referee threw the ball high, but Carlos Boozer did not intend to jump at all, because he was only 206 centimeters tall, a full 10 centimeters shorter than Jiang Pan, and he knew that he could not jump Jiang Pan. And even if he is the same height as Jiang Pan, he will not have a chance to jump to the ball, so the witty Boozer chose to return directly to defense. Seeing this scene, Jiang Pan was slightly stunned. He knew that Boozer should have carefully studied his game. Due to the timely retreat of his opponent, he was unable to complete the opening air relay. However, Jiang Pan made a clever move, and after he made a no-ball cover with Lauren Woods, he ran straight into the basket. Seeing this, Arenas passed the ball out in time, and Jiang Pan jumped up. After receiving the ball, smash the ball into the basket with all your might. Pung! With a loud bang, the moment the basketball dunked, the entire rebound exploded. As soon as it starts, it is the signature smashed rebound. Airplanes. Seeing this scene, the more than 70,000 fans in the audience were stunned for a few seconds, and then immediately burst into a crazy shout. Oh my God, it's a smash rebound. It's a dunk. God smashed the rebound as soon as the opening game. At this moment, the fans finally understood what Jiang Pan said in the pre-match interview. It should be the fans who should be nervous. Indeed, watching Jiang Pan play, it is these fans who should be nervous. Episode 53. Come. Jinag. Throughout the NRG Stadium, more than 70,000 fans shouted in unison, which was shocking. Jiang Pan stood among the rebounding debris on the ground, enjoying the moment, his tall body looking extremely powerful. Oh my God. Oh my God. In the NCAA Finals, Jiang Pan once again smashed the rebound, which is already the third rebound he destroyed in the NCAA court. Live NT commentator Kenny Smith suddenly exclaimed, "Jiang is crazy. This will definitely become the most classic scene in the NCAA Finals." Flying Pig Barkley also held his head and exclaimed, although this was not the first time he saw the scene of Jiang Pan smashing the rebound, he was still very shocked. After all, it's the highest battlefield on the NCAA stage. At the same time, far away on the other side of the ocean, in the CTV5 live broadcast room, oh roar! Jiang Pan smashed the rebound at the beginning. This should be the first time that fans of the Celestial Empire have seen him dunk rebounds on the live broadcast, Zhang Reasonable said excitedly. Although this is not the first time Jiang Pan has smashed a rebound, it is the first time that such a picture has appeared in the broadcast of the Celestial Empire. This is the legendary broken board maniac. In the previous games, fans have been looking forward to this image, and today, I finally got my wish. I think the moment he smashed the rebound, all the fans in front of the TV must have been frightened. Sukun's tone was also full of excitement. At this moment, the fans of the Celestial Empire sitting in front of the TV are watching it one by one. The scene of smashing rebounds is rare, and the picture of Celestial Empire players smashing rebounds on the final stage is the first time. I'll go. Jiang Pan is awesome. It's worthy of the demon god Jiang Pan. This terrifying power is simply invincible. Groove. It turns out that this moment of dunking the rebound can be so domineering. Well done, just keep it like this, scare the opponent to death. For a while, almost some Celestial Empire fans were shocked by the scene. At the scene, the game was forced to be suspended, and no one expected that the NCAA Finals would start in such a way. On the sidelines, on the bench at Duke University, Carlos Boozer and the others looked a little solemn, and Jiang Pan's doing so undoubtedly gave them a dismount. Coach, it may be difficult for me to prevent that guy alone. After all, this is the finals, and Boozer does not dare to be stubborn. It's okay. Duke University head coach Old K patted Boozer on the shoulder. He had not expected Carlos Boozer to be able to prevent Jiang Pan. No matter how strong they are, there is only one Jiang. We just need to play the advantage in a few other points. As for him, if it really can't be prevented, it doesn't hurt. Basketball is not a one-man sport. On the other side, on the bench at the University of Arizona, Jiang, your dunk this time really boosted our morale. I thought Duke University was so powerful. It turned out to be like this. Arenas and the others talked and laughed. This is the finals. Don't let your guard down. Duke University will definitely not be so weak. Humphreys reminded. He is well aware of the strength of Duke University, and once they are put into the state of the game, it will definitely be a headache, and I am afraid that even Jiang Pan will not be able to save the team at that time. The staff on site were very professional. They quickly cleaned up the playing field and replaced the basketball hoop with a new one. After a few moments, the game continues. Duke University sends out a sideline ball. Jay Williams held the ball from outside the three-point line, and he beckoned Boozer to step forward and make a block. Using this block, Jay Williams easily completed the breakthrough, and then hit a mid-range jumper. 2-2. Nice fit. Jay Williams immediately stepped forward and responded. He and Jiang are in the top 2 on the draft prediction list, and as the prediction champion, he is bound to stage a fierce battle with Jiang in this game. Looking back, Jiang Pan asked for singles in the low position. Carlos Boozer single-handedly defended the river, and the two formed a one-on-one situation. At this time, the fans broke out into a roar again. In the face of Boozer's defense, Jiang Pan leaned sideways and immediately made a force. Bang! The solid arm hit Carlos Boozer's chest, and with just one stroke, it was a close-fitting barrier. Boom! The sound of a huge explosion sounded, and the whole basketball hoop shook. Seeing this, Carlos Boozer ran away from the basket in embarrassment, afraid that Jiang Pan would dunk the rebound again. After completing the violent buckle, the shouts of the fans at the scene became even more frantic. The voices of more than 70,000 people shouted at the same time, which was really deafening. Ask for the ball, open it, snap it. This familiar action is simply Jiang Pan's trilogy of points under the basket. You can see through this round that Boozer can't stand up to Jiang Pan at all. It's no wonder that he, after all, from all aspects of the body, Boozer is much worse than Jiang Pan. He was supposed to play number 4, but because Duke didn't have a great center, that got him to number 5. On the court, Boozer, who fled in embarrassment, only felt that some eyes were staring at Venus, and he was a little unable to see the River Plate in front of him. Hey, man, this is the finals. After landing, Jiang Pan said to Boozer, you don't have to let me. Let you? As soon as these words came out, Buselton's face turned livid. Am I special? When did you release water? It's just that the gap in strength between himself and Jiang Pan is too big. Boozer's face was flushed with anger, but he couldn't attack. The momentum after Jiang's opening is still as brave as ever. Duke has always had problems with the inside line, and as long as you encounter teams that have strong interior players, it will cause them some problems. Today they are meeting the University of Arizona, which has the strongest interior line in the NCAA, and this is still a finals matchup. They must be more cautious, otherwise they may pay a terrible price or even lose the championship. On the commentary table at the scene, Flying Pig Charles Barkley explained passionately. Wait. Charles, what did you just say? NCAA's strongest insider? I think you should change your wording, Kenny Smith reminded. Judging from Jiang Fan's current performance, he should add the word history in the middle of the NCAA's strongest interior line. Jiang Pan is the strongest insider in NCAA history. Even if Shaquille comes in college, he is not qualified. Kenny Smith looked determined. His words are not an exaggeration. Judging from the performance of the University League alone, Jiang Pan is definitely crushing the existence of Shaquille O'Neal. As strong as O'Neal, he couldn't continue to score 40+ in March Madness, 50+ in a single game, 20+ rebounds in a row, 30+ rebounds in a single game, and a triple-double. Kenny Smith's words made Barkley, the flying pig next to him, look in agreement. In his opinion, Jiang Pan is now the first inside line in the history of the NCAA. Perhaps most fans are more optimistic about Duke University and laugh at the end. But in Barkley's view, if Jiang Pan is allowed to cut points so wantonly on the inside, the final winner, it will be Arizona. Episode 54. Duke University sent a baseline ball, and Jay Williams held the ball for halftime before playing with Carlos Boozer again. In order to prevent Jay Williams' breakthrough, Jiang Pan deliberately put half of his body when defending. Seeing this, Boozer was overjoyed. While Jiang Pan was focusing on Jay, he immediately found an opportunity to go down. Jay Williams passed the ball high and delivered it to him, and Boozer took 2 straight steps to get a layup. When the basketball shot rose to the highest point, Jiang Pan came out from behind, jumped up, and slapped the ball with his long arm. Pung. This time, the capping shocked the audience again. This time, Jiang Pan did not fly the fan to the center line, nor did he send it to the second floor of the stand. Through the slow-motion playback of the large screen, you can see that Jiang Pan's jump this time is extremely high, and even his fingers are almost beyond the edge of the rebound. Fans have seen a lot of powerful blocks, but this time, it should be the highest cap they have ever seen jump, and there is no one. Wow. It's such a terrifying bouncing force. Jiang's fingers actually exceeded the edge of the rebound. My God. Such a terrifying cap. In other words, there will definitely be a shadow in the hearts of others, and they will no longer dare to make a move in front of Jiang Pan. In the next few rounds, Jiang Pan still maintained a super terrifying scoring ability. He hit Carlos Boozer on the head with a series of violent slams, and the opponent was temperless. At this time, the audience is in the audience. A bigwig-level figure was sitting peacefully holding his chest. This person is the current NBA director, Mr. David Stern. As NBA director, his usual scope of activities is limited to the NBA. It is rare to come to the NCAA to watch the game, and the purpose of his coming today is simple. That's to see Jiang Pan. Mr. President, the talent of this Celestial Empire center forward is really terrible. I have never seen a player like him. David Stern sat next to his assistant, John's son. Today he accompanied David Stern to watch the match, which was his first time watching a Jiang Pan match, and only a few rounds ago, he has been impressed by Jiang Pan's dominance of the court. That's right. It's no exaggeration to say that I love this guy. David Stern raised his glasses. Perhaps, he will become the key to the NBA's promotion in the Celestial Empire. David Stern has a unique vision. What he saw was not only Jiang Pan's talent, but also the NBA's future Celestial Empire market. John, after this game, I want all his information. Whether or not he can play this kind of dominance after entering the NBA, we need to take special care of him. As far as I know, Jiang already has a large number of fans in the Celestial Empire now, so you should understand what I mean. John's Binson nodded immediately. He has been with David Stern for many years, and he has an excellent ability to do his job, and he has long been comfortable coping with these things. In the future, the moment Jiang Pan joins the NBA, he will make a big splash and further enhance Jiang Pan's image. Then step by step open the basketball market of the Celestial Empire. David Stern's pair of wise eyes fell on Jiang Pan and kept looking, nodding frequently. He even believes that Jiang Pan is the object of his future favor. When it comes to stars, David Stern is the best. In addition to Stern and his assistants, there were a lot of scouts on the scene. They picked up their pens and wrote quickly on the small notebook. In their books, the names of Jiang Pan and Boozer appeared, but after watching these rounds, many scouts directly crossed out Boozer's name, and under the name of Jiang Pan, a bright red check mark is drawn. On the court, Carlos Boozer was beaten a little confused. Although his height is not tall, because he is often assigned to the number 5 position, he also has his own set of experience when defending the center. With this experience, even if you can't completely prevent your opponent, you won't suffer too much. Boozer has played against many great centers, including Zach Randolph. In the confrontation with Randolph, he lost on statistics, but not to the point of being blown up. However, today he faced Jiang Pan, but he was beaten and had no way to fight back. Now he finally understood why Zach Randolph lost at the hands of Jiang Pan, and he still lost so badly. Jiang Pan and them are not a level player at all. At the moment, leading the way is the University of Arizona. In the opening 5 minutes, the University of Arizona has been in the lead, although the lead is only 4 points. If you keep doing this, I'm going to open up the difference, Jiang Pan said indifferently to Boozer. Hearing this, Carlos Boozer was so angry that he almost became angry. Can't beat, can't spray. Carlos, don't go head to head with him. Beat him with your high arc shot. On the sidelines, Duke University head coach Old K reminded Boozer. Boozer glanced at it and also nodded. He wanted to teach Jiang Pan a lesson now, but he had never been able to do it. Duke University sends the baseline ball, and Jay Williams holds the ball and advances. Boozer, meanwhile, mentioned a position near the free throw line. So, a basketball passed into his hand, and Boozer shot a jump shot without hesitation. This time he shot, deliberately increased the arc, and the shot point was extremely high. This trick is Boozer's mastery, because he is not tall and often has to play against big centers, so he practiced this trick. And at some point in the future, he used this trick to make Yao Ming suffer a lot. However, Jiang Pan is not Yao Ming. At the moment when Boozer was about to strike, he rushed directly up, his arms stretched out, and he shrouded it like a cover in the sky. Boozer was so shocked that he forcibly turned the arc to the highest. Although he avoided the cover of Jiang Pan, his vision was completely blocked, and in the end, he actually cast a 3-stick. Arenas quickly sent out an out-of-bounds ball to push the counterattack. Jiang Pan accelerated to rush to the front court, and cooperated with Arenas to complete the empty score. It turned out to be a 3 non-stick. Boozer threw a 3 non-stick under the defense of Jiang Pan. Jiang Pan's defensive deterrent was too great, and Boozer was forced to throw an air ball, and he was almost blocked. Up to now, Boozer still has 0 points. It can only be said that Jiang Pan's defense is too strong, and it is really difficult to score in front of him, unless he himself does not want to defend. In the CTV5 live broadcast room, Sukun sighed. Jiang Pan's defense may be what makes him better than offense, which is also a necessary condition for becoming an NBA superstar in the future. In the NBA, there are a lot of great scorers who are very good at scoring, but they often don't have defensive skills. For such a player, you can only call it a star, or a super scorer. And if you want to become a superstar, you are both offensive and defensive, and Jiang Pan is such a player. Zhang Qing did not hesitate to praise Jiang Pan. On the pitch, man, if you let me again, it's not just as simple as widening the score. Jiang Pan entered a defensive posture and said to Boozer, instead, you will lose the championship trophy. The arrogant voice burrowed into Boozer's ears, which immediately made him angry. Episode 55. Jiang Pan's voice continued to echo in his ears, extremely ironic. Carlos Boozer's mentality exploded. At this moment, he firmly believed that Jiang Pan was the most formidable opponent he had ever encountered. This center from the Celestial Empire is not only strong, but also invincible. An opponent like this, while technically destroying you, will also severely damage your heart and make you feel what is called murder. But this is the NCAA Finals, and Carlos Boozer is not that vulnerable. You wait for me. The following round, Boozer continued to shoot from the head, but this time, he didn't have such good luck, and Jiang Pan had already been prepared. At the moment when Boozer made a move, Jiang Pan jumped 1 step ahead. Bang! The iron palm accurately re-slapped on the surface of the ball, and the basketball flew out upside down. After completing the blocking, Jiang Pan rushed towards the basketball landing point as soon as possible, and Jay Williams rushed to the basketball almost at the same time. But Jiang Pan's speed turned out to be faster than Jay Williams, taking the basketball first, and then a dragon slammed into the hand. Bang! Basket trimmer. Pity Boozer. There have been a total of 3 shots since the opening, but all of them have been defended by Jiang Pan, and they have not even touched the basket. What shocked the fans even more was Jiang Pan's unparalleled speed. You know, just now he and Jay Williams started almost at the same time, and Jiang Pan was still a position behind. In this case, he was able to surpass his opponent and win basketball, this physical talent can be called perverted. Duke offense, Jay Williams slammed stop mid-range jumper hit, nice. Help the team stop the bleeding in time. Looking back, Gilbert Arenas hit the iron with a jumper, but Jiang grabbed the front court rebound under the basket, boom. Take off and make up the ball. Duke started playing as a team, and after a few passes, Sean Battier hit a three-point shot in the bottom corner. My God. Not to be outdone, Jiang Pan received the ball on the inside and broke Boozer to score again. Wow. It's Jiang Pan again. This time he encountered the opponent's double bag, but he still easily opened the layup, bang. Another nice lever goal. Jiang Pan is a big killer under the basket. He frantically uses his personal ability to score, and Duke University's interior defense is as weak as a piece of paper in front of him. But Duke is also very strong, and the likes of Jay Williams and Sean Battier have been clenching the score with outside shots. With 32 seconds left in the first quarter, both sides had an offensive chance. Jay Williams had the ball from the outside, and he made an attack, seemingly trying to steal an attack. Jay made a one-step jump shot inside the three-point line, but, OMG. Jiang actually rushed out from the inside, the iron palm blocked his shot, the sixth block tonight. Wait, he hit again, he completed a fast attack dunk again. Duke did the last offense of the first half. Jay Williams looked for an opportunity to make up for it. He organized his teammates to run on the outside, but Gilbert Arenas anticipated his pass and completed the steal, boom. Gilbert and Jiang complete the whistle air connection, beep. With the referee's whistle, the first half of the game is over, 68-58. The University of Arizona takes a 10-point lead. In today's game, the pace of both sides is very fast, and the offensive efficiency is very high. Arizona is thriving, and Duke University is a soldier for all. Throughout the first half of the game, Jiang Pan slashed 38 points, 22 rebounds, and 8 blocks of quasi-triple-double data. His points, rebounds, and blocks all set new first-half highs and broke the NCAA March Madness Finals record. That means, at the NCAA Finals, Lao Tzu decided not to pretend. Lao Tzu has a showdown. Lao Tzu is going to open up all his fire. Fortunately, Duke University's starters played well, and if it weren't for their joint play, it is estimated that this difference would have gone 20 points. Of course, this can also reflect the strong strength of Duke University. If it is other teams, in the first half of Jiang Pan cut 38 points, it is estimated that this game has lost suspense. In the CTV5 live broadcast room, Zhang said leisurely, from another point of view, if it were not for Jiang Pan's excellent performance, it would be the University of Arizona who is now in the downside, and it may be a big score. It can be seen that Jiang Pan alone can affect the victory or defeat of the game, and I am afraid that among these people present, he is the only one who can do it. Even if Jay Williams is now overpowering Jiang Pan in draft prediction, from the perspective of their influence on the game, Jiang Pan is the stronger one. Director Zhang, do you think that if the University of Arizona wins the championship in the end, will Jiang Pan rise to the first place in draft prediction? Su-kun threw out a question. Yes, Zhang Qing answered without hesitation, and then he continued, and I want to say that he will definitely be the first. Without him, Duke might still be able to reach the finals, but without Jiang Pan, then the University of Arizona would not be able to stand on the stage of the finals. Even if the University of Arizona can't win the championship, after watching the performance of this game, Jiang Pan should be ranked first. Although Zhang Reasonable now faintly has a hint of Jiang Pan's #1 fan, but his remarks are completely based on the actual situation, without any bias. Halftime, Duke University's locker room. Don't think about going head-to-head with that Celestial Empire center. No one can beat him one-on-one. You all stay away from him. The farther away the better. Remember that we win as a team, not individually. Also, Jay, you need to step up in time when it matters. You are the leader of this team, Coach Old K said seriously. Then, he picked up the tactical board in his hand and began to lay out the tactics for the second half of the game. On the other side, inside the locker room at the University of Arizona, brothers, Duke University is not as strong as the legend. As long as this momentum is maintained, the championship is ours. Gilbert Arenas' mind has relaxed a lot, and he is no longer as nervous as he was at the beginning. Exactly. They are said to be powerful, and the result is not yet burst. Richard Jefferson echoed, don't underestimate the enemy, we are only 10 points ahead, and one accidentally will be caught up, or even overtaken. Head coach Humphreys reminded him that he was afraid his players would start swelling as they fought. Don't worry. However, Jiang Pan got up indifferently and twisted his neck. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll take the game out of suspense. Episode 56. Charles, with 20 minutes to go, who do you think the winner will belong to? In the commentary table, Kenny Smith turned to look at Barkley and asked, at the University of Arizona, I think they have a 90% chance of winning the game. Flying pig, Barkley said bluntly. This answer still surprised Kenny Smith. Indeed, according to the situation in the first half, the University of Arizona did want to play better, but this was all because of Jiang Pan. Had it not been for Jiang Pan, the score of the first half might have been different. Charles, 90% is not an exaggeration. The overall performance of Duke University today is good, except for Carlos Boozer. everyone else played at a very good competitive level. Don't forget, basketball has always been a team sport, and no matter how strong a person is, he can't stand up to a team. Kenny Smith said, Jiang Pan's first half played perfectly, but it also meant that danger came, because in the first half, Jiang played for too long, which was a huge drain on the player's physical strength. Kenny Smith's analysis is the Tao, and there is some truth. As in the first half of Jiang Pan, it is difficult to maintain the whole game. Are you questioning Jiang's physical fitness? Barkley shook his head questioningly. You've watched him so many games, have you ever seen him physically exhausted? Hearing this, Kenny Smith was slightly stunned. He thought about it for a while, and it seemed that he really hadn't seen Jiang Pan's physical exhaustion. Although I haven't seen it before, it's also because Jiang has a short playing time, almost after the first half has entered garbage time. Even if he plays in the second half, he will play very easily. But this game is different. Their opponent is the Duke Blue Devils, and if Jiang Pan slackens in the second half, it is likely to lose the lead in his hands. Barkley gave him a blank look. Since you insist on your opinion, then let it be. But I tell you, the final result must be Arizona winning. Kenny Smith knew Barkley's temper and didn't bother to argue. He still insisted that Duke would play catch-up in the second half. He doesn't rule out the possibility of the University of Arizona winning the game, but it's far below Barkley's 90%. Moments later, the intermission ended and the two sides faced off in the second half. These last 20 minutes will determine the NCAA championship this season. In the first attack of the second half, Jay Williams launched a breakthrough with the ball, and he began to deliberately increase his personal attack. But instead of listening to Coach Old K, he decided to challenge Jiang Pan, because he felt that Jiang Pan was not only the leader of Arizona, but also their spiritual pillar. If he can score in front of Jiang Pan, it will definitely be able to hit the morale of his opponent. Thinking of this, after Jay Williams completed the breakthrough, he immediately rushed to Jiang Pan. Facing Jiang Pan, he jumped hard, and then threw his hand. Jay Williams' shot point is very high, but he still can't avoid the cover of Jiang Pan. Pung. Only listening to a crisp sound, the basketball was directly fanned off the court, but it was still the ball at Duke University. Seeing this ball, the face of the Old K coach on the sidelines immediately sank. He wants to see Jay Williams stand up, but he doesn't want to see him challenge Jiang Pan, which is no different from seeking his own death. However, this time he did not remind him, but chose to wait and see. Duke University sent out the touchline ball and once again handed it to Jay Williams. Just now, he was blocked by Jiang Pan once, and he was very unhappy, but he decided to play this ball and continue to challenge Jiang Pan. The reason is simple. At key moments, as a key player, it is necessary to build confidence for the team. I saw Jay Williams use his foot change to once again pass the defense and rush inside. With the first experience, after rushing in, he made a fake throwing motion. However, Jiang Pan had long recognized his clumsy acting skills and simply took a step back. Seeing this, Jay Williams was overjoyed in his heart, and he immediately adjusted his posture and shot. But just as he struck, Jiang Pan's hind foot jumped vigorously, and he once again sent a ruthless iron lock. Come. Jinag. This cap immediately ignited the atmosphere of the entire stadium. More than 70,000 fans at the scene shouted in unison again. Counting this cap, Jiang Pan successfully got 3 doubles. It's the first triple-double in NCAA March Madness Finals history, and it's a blocked triple-double. Previously, Jiang Pan staged the only capping 3-double drama in March Madness. Now, Jiang Pan has brought the performance of 3 doubles with caps to the finals. And Jiang Pan's performance continued, and he chased towards the landing point of the basketball. After receiving the ball, he continued to sprint with all his strength, and in the next breath, he staged his signature move. Jump for a layup from outside the three-point line, like Chunga rushing to the moon, running through 9 days, picking baskets at his fingertips. Bingo! This was the second time he performed this action in the game, and shocked the audience in front of more than 70,000 fans. MVP! MVP! More than 70,000 players on the scene shouted the slogan of MVP in unison at this moment. Such a scene is like the sound of war drums on the ancient Roman battlefield, shocking everyone's hearts. OMG! This is Jiang's signature exclusive skill. Michael Jordan's free throw line dunk can be imitated. Hakeem Olajuwon's dreamy footsteps can be learned. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook can also be replicated, but I believe that no player other than Jiang can do the three-point line. In the commentary table, Kenny Smith was stunned. Kenny, seeing this ball, do you still think Jiang will have physical problems? Barkley said leisurely. All I can say is that this guy is completely beyond my knowledge. Kenny Smith has nothing to say now. He never expected that after experiencing the battle in the first half, Jiang Pan would still be able to make such an action. This Nima is outrageous. On the sidelines, Duke University's head coach Old K was completely anxious. He yelled at Jay Williams, Jay, what the hell are you doing? Doesn't it keep you away from Jiang Pan? Why go to him and shoot? He now desperately wants to strangle Jay Williams. At halftime, it was clearly said, but now it is like this. Jay Williams also knew he had messed up, so he decided to make up for it. In the following round, after Jay Williams swung the defense, he directly chose to shoot and did not go to Jiang Pan again. However, he did not go to Jiang Pan, but Jiang Pan did not intend to let him go. Jiang Pan quickly assisted in the defense, and it was a miserable super hot pot against the basketball. The second half started less than 3 minutes. Jiang Pan has already brushed 3 caps on Jay Williams. Episode 57. After collecting the rebound, the University of Arizona quickly pushed back. However, Duke University's retreat was fast, and after Jiang Pan received the ball on the inside, Boozer and Battier both wrapped up at the same time. Jiang Pan had long been accustomed to such a situation, so he was also handy in dealing with it. Jiang Pan hugged the ball and sank his shoulders, first pushing away Battier, and then getting up with a violent buckle. Carlos Boozer instinctively tugged, wanting to stop Jiang Pan's dunk. However, the next breath, he was shocked. Under his pull, Jiang Pan still successfully jumped and completed the partition clasp. At the same time, the bottom line referee's whistle sounded, and Carlos Boozer was awarded a shooting foul, and Jiang Pan was given the opportunity to add a penalty. Watch out for the rebound. On the sidelines, the old K coach reminded loudly, it was really heartbreaking. He carefully studied the free throws of the river, and although he shot poorly, he was often able to complete the dunk after the free throw, so it was extremely important to grab the rebound under the basket. Duke's players are also ready. After Jiang Pan shot, the first time the basketball touched the basket, Boozer and Battier were stuck in position, blocking Jiang Pan's travel route. Sure enough, pung, the basketball pops out. But just as Battier and Boozer were about to compete for the rebound, Jiang Pan flew directly behind them, flew through the gap between the two, successfully completed the buckle, and played the signature 2+2. In less than a minute after the start of the second half, Jiang Pan alone played a wave of 7 o'clock offensive climax, and the point difference was instantly stretched to 17 points. Oh roar, Jiang Pan is playing like this. Do you want to take the game in advance? The problem lies with Jay Williams. Maybe after seeing Jiang Pan's performance, he also wants to play his strength, but the effect is counterproductive. In these 2 rounds of the duel with Jiang Pan, we have completely seen the gap between the two. I think there is now a good answer to the question of who is better between Jiang Pan and Jay Williams, and he told us this answer himself. In the CTV5 live broadcast room, Sukun said with a smile, and from his tone, he could feel how excited he was at this time. Because he knows that Jiang Pan is getting closer and closer to the championship of the NCAA. Jiang Pan played too reasonably on the field, he just wanted to show his personal ability in full form. It is true that basketball is a team sport, but a good team needs a leader like Jiang Pan. There may be many fans who will say that Jiang Pan's playing like this is too unique. In my opinion, it's not solitary, it's a very reasonable play. As long as you have the ability to score the ball, it's reasonable. That's why I said that Jiang Pan fought very reasonably today, and didn't waste any opportunities. Zhang Reasonable is constantly emphasizing the way Jiang Pan plays. In his opinion, this is not unique, this is reasonable. The familiar Zhang is reasonable, finally online. The game continued, but these 2 rounds hurt Duke's morale. The following round, Jay Williams had a good chance to shoot, but he hesitated, which eventually led to a 35-second violation. NCAA offense is 35 seconds long. Subsequently, Jiang Pan received the ball on the inside line and was caught again. But this time, it's 3 people. The outside Gilbert Arenas was completely empty, but he was not ready to catch the ball, because in his opinion, even if it was a 3-man bag, Jiang Pan could still score the ball. Jiang Pan holds the ball, the back extension bulldozer crushes directly into the paint area, and the 3 blockade lines around the perimeter are clamped. And yet, noticing the vacant Jiang Pan in the bottom corner, he made a surprising operation. So, a cannonball-style pass that threw the ball directly at him. This ball, Jiang Pan did not want to play directly, but assisted his teammates. Arenas almost didn't catch it, and looked at Jiang Pan in shock, never expecting Jiang Pan to pass the ball to himself. When he saw Jiang Pan's eyes, he was clear. This is the commander of the new Arizona regiment, ordering his men to open fire. What are you waiting for? Fire! Xiang Shouqin. Basket fire. After glancing up at the basket, Arenas raised his hand from outside the 3-point line. Ugh, basketball cuts a wonderful arc. The sound of basketballs entering the net sounded, and the score counter flashed. 78:58. The point difference has been stretched to 20 points. This 3-pointer was simply worse for Duke University. Let them, who were already a little desperate, become even more desperate. Although the second half of the game has just begun, it already has the appearance of ending. Coach Old K hurriedly called for a pause to adjust, but the effect was not great. After the timeout, the game continued, and Duke University lost its former level at both ends of the offensive and defensive ends. Bang, 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 bang. The sound of striking iron sounded one after another. On the other hand, the University of Arizona has become smoother and smoother under the leadership of Jiang Pan. With 3 minutes to go, Arizona fans were already standing and cheering. Many Duke fans have left the arena disappointed. The difference between the 2 teams reached 30 points, and Duke University was no longer able to recover. The game was completely reduced to garbage time. Duke struggled for a few minutes, and with 3 minutes left before the game was over, the coach waved his hand and the main player was replaced. This means that the end of the game is announced in advance. At this moment, the camera shines on the bench in Arizona. All the players were standing there, waving towels in their hands, jumping and laughing, and had already begun to celebrate in advance. The championship has already been won by them in advance. On the other side, on the bench at Duke University, Jay Williams, Sean Battier, and others looked depressed to the freezing point, and their eyes were even bleak. They glanced at the score on the scorer, and for a moment it was difficult to accept the fact of defeat. No one expected that Duke University, known as the NCAA champion, would end in such a way in the final of March Madness. Eventually, the game was over, 130-98. The University of Arizona won their first NCAA championship trophy in varsity history with a hearty victory. All this is thanks to Jiang Pan, the center from the Celestial Empire, who single-handedly changed the fate of the University of Arizona. At the end of the game, Jiang Pan cut a personal high of 68 points, 40 rebounds, and 18 blocks of terrifying triple-double. These 3 statistics all set his personal highs and broke many records in the NCAA finals. Duke leader Jay Williams had 24 points and 6 assists. Looking at his data alone, it is not bad, but compared with Jiang Pan, it is simply small to the soil. Win the championship! Win the championship! In the CTV5 live broadcast room, Zhang Reasonable raised his arms and shouted. At this moment, all the hundreds of millions of fans of the Celestial Empire witnessed the moment when Jiang Pan won the championship. Jiang Pan is the well-deserved pride of the Celestial Empire. Episode 58. Take the MOP. Encountering Jiang Pan, a lifetime of luck. The moment the whistle blew, the University of Arizona players rushed onto the court as soon as possible. They hugged Jiang Pan tightly, and a stack of our hits came. We are champions. Jiang, my brother, we have won the championship. Arenas and the others shouted madly. The University of Arizona, the strongest dark horse of March Madness, won their championship trophy with an absolutely strong attitude. The pent-up emotions in their hearts were completely released at this moment, and the championship trophy was the best gift for them. Jiang Pan, Jiang Pan. The live DJ chanted Jiang Pan's name, and he was the brightest star in the arena this night. In the stadium, all the fans of Jiang Pan got up, and they raised their hands and shouted madly. Ding! Detected that the host won the NCAA championship, completed the main quest, and received SSS-level rewards to be claimed. Just as Jiang Pan and his teammates were hugging and celebrating, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. Jiang Pan was slightly stunned, but he didn't bother to pay attention to it now, and he was not in a hurry to receive it. Wait until all this is over. Looking at the players celebrating wildly on the field, Arizona's head coach Humphries also showed a relieved smile. He thought he would be as excited as these players at the moment of winning, but now he doesn't feel that way. Humphries only felt that all this in front of him was too dreamy, as if it was all like a dream. He stared straight at Jiang Pan's figure, sincerely happy for him. However, the thought that this was Jiang Pan's last game at the University of Arizona, Humphries' heart felt a pang of loss. Winning the championship was originally a celebration, but when Jiang Pan was about to leave, a depression rose in his heart. Humphries took a deep breath, and then smiled. Maybe he was too selfish. A player like Jiang Pan, he should go to a higher stage. Thinking of this, he was relieved. So he also ran onto the pitch and celebrated with his players. The NCAA tournament champion is the trophy that every NCAA player dreams of. It symbolizes the glory of youth. The NCAA championship trophy, symbolizing the storm of their youth, ends perfectly. Moments later, the staff of the NCAA league slowly unveiled the championship trophy from the entrance of the passage. Jiang Pan and his teammates temporarily stopped celebrating and focused their eyes on the trophy. They put on the champion t-shirts and hats specially prepared by the University of Arizona and are ready to welcome this glory that belongs to them. The NCAA championship trophy slowly pushed towards them, and everyone's faces were full of excitement. Especially Gilbert Arenas. This guy is very competitive, and this trophy is something he has always been after. However, because the overall strength of the team is insufficient, it has not been able to achieve its wishes. And now, because of Jiang Pan, he finally waited for this moment. Looking at the NCAA championship trophy that kept pushing, Arenas was extremely nervous. His hands were clenched into fists, and his body was shaking slightly. Jiang Pan patted him gently. He could fully understand Arenas' current mood. For Jiang Pan, it took only 6 games to win the trophy, but for Arenas, this is an unattainable glory, and a farewell to youth. The boy does not flick tears, but it is not yet emotional. When this trophy was pushed in front of him, Arenas could no longer hold back, and the tears in his eyes condensed into teardrops, falling down the corners of his eyes, crying with joy. Let's congratulate tonight's heroes again. They are the NCAA champions of the 2000-2001 season. University of Arizona Wildcats. The live DJ shouted, and all the fans gave them the warmest applause. At this moment, the flowers fell from the sky, accompanied by the applause and screams of the fans, pushing the atmosphere of tonight to a climax. Jiang Pan came to the podium surrounded by his teammates and held up this trophy, which symbolizes supreme honor. At this time, the scene was lit up with countless flashing lights. All the media reporters, as well as the fans, are constantly pressing the shutter button in their hands. Click. Click. Although Jiang Pan played 6 games for the University of Arizona, he has become the best player in the history of the Arizona team. Holding the heavy championship trophy, Jiang Pan also deeply felt this glory. He knew very well in his heart that this was just the beginning for him, and in the future, he was going to win that higher glory. Jiang Pan held the trophy high, left a group photo, and passed it to Arenas next to him. Arenas took the trophy with trembling hands, and then held it tightly in his arms as if it were a treasure. He buried his head and kissed him deeply. Just after the overall championship trophy was awarded, the mops of the Final Four had already been selected on the spot. The MOP winners for this season's March Madness Final Four are Jiang. The voice of the live DJ did not fall, and the fans shouted out the name of Jiang Pan in unison. Yes, I announce this season's NCAA MOP winner, Jiang Pan. A thunderous roar suddenly erupted in the arena, and Jiang Pan's name resounded throughout the arena again. After the NCAA staff also presented the MOP trophy trophy to Jiang Pan at this time, Jiang Pan raised his hands high and signaled to the fans, "Mop, mop." Tens of thousands of fans chanted in unison, "Mop." Deserved. This is an honor that belongs to Jiang Pan. Mad March has experienced 6 games, and he has used his strength to interpret what is called the real king. In the CTV5 live broadcast room, Zhang Li and Su Kun were excited, and their blood pressure climbed. It was the first time they saw a Celestial Empire player standing on the podium of the NCAA Finals. Not only was it a championship trophy, but Jiang Pan became the first player in the Celestial Empire to win the NCAA League MOP. In front of the screen, when all the fans of the Celestial Empire saw Jiang Pan holding the trophy, they instantly rejoiced. Back at the scene, the host smiled and said to Jiang Pan, "This year is the most incredible season I have ever seen. It's hard to imagine how you managed to get such an honor in just 6 races. It sounds like a legend. It's incredible. Jiang, tell me how you feel now." The host handed the microphone to Jiang Pan. This is the first time Jiang Pan has faced such an occasion, and he doesn't know what to say. "First of all, I want to thank my parents, who sent me here and have been silently supporting my basketball dream behind my back. Secondly, I have to thank my coach for giving me the opportunity to play so that I can stand here and lift this trophy. It's a great start for me. This trophy means a lot to me, and it gives me more meaning in life. I'm going to be in the NBA draft with this honor at the end of the season, so that's the last time I played for the University of Arizona. Although this story is short, I think it is beautiful. Next, I will be greeted by the battlefield of the NBA." Hearing this, all the scouts on the scene became nervous. Their expressions became very solemn. The end of one war symbolizes the beginning of another. The battle for Jiang Pan has officially begun. Finally, Jiang Pan bowed deeply to all the fans at the scene. The scene also resounded with a wave of applause. From this moment on, Jiang Pan also officially bid farewell to the NCAA arena, but his legendary deeds of winning 6 races will definitely live on. On the sidelines, Duke players also returned to the court at this time, and the players from both sides shook hands and greeted each other. At this time, Jay Williams, Carlos Boozer, Michael Dunleavy, these 3 walked in front of Jiang Pan. "Jiang, congratulations on winning the championship, and congratulations on winning the MOP. This is really enviable, but did you really decide to run in this year's NBA draft?" Jiang Pan scratched his head, a little didn't understand what they meant. "This. Any questions?" Jiang Pan said. The 3 looked at each other, sighed, and shook their heads helplessly. Then, the 3 said in unison, "If you really participate in this year's draft, then we have decided not to participate." As soon as these words came out, Jiang Pan was stunned at first, and then I immediately understood what they meant. Emotional labor and management. This is a game that ruins your draft prospects. At this time, the one who touched the most was Jay Williams, because he was the player at the top of the draft predictions. However, judging from this game, the gap between him and Jiang Pan can be described as 18 turns in the mountain road. It's not because he didn't play well, but because Jiang Pan's light is too strong, and all the players who participated in the draft at the same time as him are destined to be eclipsed in front of him. On the sidelines, those media reporters have long been ready for interviews. After the 2 teams greeted each other, the reporter of TNT rushed to the court as soon as possible and went straight to tonight's protagonist, Jiang Pan. "Jiang, congratulations. It was an incredible night. Before this final, most of the fans were more optimistic about Duke, but now, you have punched them in the face with your strength. You showed unparalleled dominance in the game tonight. Tell me, how did you feel about this NCAA games?" Faced with the reporter's question, Jiang Pan indifferently calculated his shoulders. "For me, this is an ordinary game. My only goal on the pitch is to win the game. I just did what I thought I should do. It's that simple. Later, the reporter asked him a few more questions, and Jiang Pan also answered them very cooperatively. Because this will be his last time on the NCAA field for an interview, he also showed extra patience. After the interview with Jiang Pan, the reporter approached Gilbert Arenas and asked the same question. Arenas's performance was not as calm as Jiang Pan's. His expression was full of excitement, and even his tone was trembling. The moment the final whistle blew, my heart was completely released. And the moment I kissed the championship, I still felt so lucky. Because all this was brought by Jiang, you can never understand how lucky it is to be able to play next to him. I've thoroughly loved the feeling of being teammates with him, but unfortunately it's all coming to an end. After the season, I'll be in the draft with Jiang, and while I'd love to continue being teammates with him, it's almost impossible. You know, it's unlikely that a team will pick players from 2 lotto zones at the same time. Saying this, Arenas's tone was slightly proud. That's right. He is confident now. Lie down in Jiang Pan's belt, and he is already a proper lottery zone player. Jiang Pan is the luck of Arenas's life. Back in the Arizona locker room, the sound of champagne opening kept ringing, and their celebration was only now really beginning. Each player was holding a bottle of champagne in his hand, shaking wildly. At this moment, Jiang Pan's mobile phone suddenly received text messages from many people, and they were all some unfamiliar numbers. However, these text messages will be signed at the end, which allows Jiang Pan to know their identities. The first text message he received was the answer, from Allen Iverson. Congratulations, Jiang. I enjoy winning the title, but you know, we need you. The content of this text message is very concise, just 2 short sentences, but the intention is concise. Congratulations plus solicitation, which fits well with the character of Allen Iverson. Jiang, please make sure to bring your talent to Minnesota. I am willing to give up the core position for you. Once the 2 of us form the 2 towers, it will definitely become the strongest 2-tower combination in the NBA. The final signature is Kevin Garnett, a chatter, obviously a lot more than AI. Jiang, remember? We've seen you play in the Magic Arena. I sincerely invite you to join us. As long as you come here, I am confident that I can defeat the OK combination and even win the championship. This is another text message from Maddie. In addition to these, there were several others, and Jiang Pan did not bother to read them, because he knew that the content of these text messages was all the same. Jiang Pan did not reply, because joining that team is not something he can decide, depending on which team has better luck, and he doesn't care where to go. Just as Jiang Pan was about to put away his mobile phone, another text message came. He fixed his eyes and saw that this was actually sent by Jessica Alba. The text message was eye-catching, just to celebrate Jiang Pan's victory, and Jessica Alba wanted to invite him and her teammates to a party. What? You said Jessica asked you to go to the party? Arenas and Richard Jefferson were shocked when they found out, and it is said that in addition to her, Scarlett John will also participate. Are you fighting those 2 goddesses next to Michigan State University? Then I should change into a handsome dress and attract their attention, Arenas said excitedly. Haha. Don't you dream, are people having parties to win the championship? Simply for Jiang Pan. Richard Jefferson laughed. You just wear an Iron Man suit to save humanity. People don't like you, and they don't bird you. Jiang Pan is a sack, and people like it. Arenas, everyone immediately ridiculed. Jiang Pan also smiled speechlessly. These guys, a group of old color batches. Episode 59. Say goodbye to the time of youth. Lakers win 2 straight championships. Everyone changed their clothes and went to the big villa booked by Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba came up and sent a fragrant kiss, which flattered Jiang Pan a little. Scarlett John next to her looked at it, a little angry and corrupted. This time was preempted by Jessica Alba. When Arenas saw this scene, he was also envious, and this beauty actually kissed Jiang Pan in front of herself. This Nima is simply too wicked. The heart is like a knife. Don't be silly, change the target. Your goddess will be Jiang's plate of food sooner or later. Richard Jefferson patted Arenas, comforting him. Everyone, please come in. Alba then led everyone into the house. This party was carefully prepared by her, and of course it gave her a reason to get close to Jiang Pan. Inside the huge villa, the atmosphere burned to the extreme. Red wine and champagne, billiards, dancing. Everyone in the villa, hi. It is rare for the players of the University of Arizona to participate in such a party, and they all turn over one by one, but unfortunately, there are no chicks. Because the beauties with more than 8 points lingered on Jiang Pan's knees, it was not until later that those female alumni in Arizona understood the war situation. Jiang Pan belongs to Jessica Alba and Scarlett Johansson. After these girls saw the situation clearly, they left one after another and went to find Arenas and the others. But even so, Arenas was jealous. With a cigar in his mouth, he turned his head from time to time to look in the direction of Jiang Pan. I saw Jessica Alba and Scarlett John talking and laughing with Jiang Pan, and behaving very closely. Look at the female student he is holding. Although she also looks good and has a good figure, but after all, she can't compare with those 2 girls. After more than 2 hours of high, Jiang Pan suddenly walked towards his teammates. Ahem, guys, it's not early. Today's party is about to end here. Everyone disperse. Jiang Pan was also not polite and said bluntly. Some of his teammates were not yet happy, but they received an eviction order. Everyone was the same, and they all looked at Jiang Pan. I said that you kid is too unkind. The girls are all soaked by you. It's okay to drive us away. You pay for the hotel. Arenas grumbled. Jiang Pan looked towards him, and then noticed that Arenas was sitting next to a girl with an extremely hot figure. To be precise, terrifying. The front and back are simply exaggerated to the extreme, as if they are extra, and they look very incongruous. Jiang Pan couldn't help but walk over and patted Arenas' shoulder. You can take it easy. Tomorrow we still have the champion parade, don't you sleep, you can't come. Arenas glared at him angrily. He also wants to be more beautiful, not because you dominate the party, the person who should be leisurely is you, but there are Jessica and Scarlett over there. If you really can't handle it, then brother, I am willing to share your worries. Haha, don't say it's two, even if I come two more. It's okay, you don't have to worry about this. You better watch out for yourself. Jiang Pan immediately retorted. I can tolerate saying that my skills are poor, but I can't insult my XX. Saying that, Arenas stretched out 4 fingers. I have always been this number. Arenas means 40 minutes. He also proudly looked at Jiang Pan and asked, can you? Jiang Pan didn't speak, just smiled mockingly, and then stretched out a finger. Arenas immediately frowned. Eileen. An hour? Well, that's how good you are. No. Jiang Pan shook his head. I mean to do it all the time. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was stunned on the spot. Unexpectedly, one of Jiang Pan's fingers turned out to mean this. Of course, they don't think Jiang Pan is bragging. Jiang Pan's physique can do anything. The next day, the University of Arizona will hold a championship parade in Phoenix after winning the championship. Because this is the first time in the history of the Arizona varsity team to win the NCAA championship, it is very meaningful, and it is a glorious moment for the school and the city. The parade lasted for 2 days. But after the parade, the Arizona players had some money, because each of them will take a different path in the future. Some will play in the NBA, some will stay with the team, and still others will graduate jobs. For flowers bloom, one side of the sky. Jiang Pan, Arenas, Richard Jefferson, and Lauren Woods are all ready to test the waters in the NBA. However, no one else has that strength. Everyone will have to go their separate ways in the future, and I suddenly don't want to leave. How nice it would be if time stayed in this moment forever. Arenas drank slightly, and his mind remembered the days of fighting side by side with these brothers. Those images kept reappearing in his eyes. His nose was red, and his eyes were sweaty. Yes, if time can stand still, then at this moment. Richard Jefferson echoed, and he felt equally reluctant. Looking at these teammates around them, remembering the pictures of training together and fighting together, those days were their happiest and most memorable times. How can you give it up? Don't be so sad. It's not that you don't get in touch. Everyone can get together often when they have time in the future. Lauren Woods tried to make the atmosphere a little more pleasant, but apparently he failed not to say that it was okay, which is a mixed feeling in everyone's heart. They actually know in their hearts that once they go their separate ways, it will be really difficult to get together, especially since they are all students from all over the world, and even foreign students. Don't be too upset, everyone. There is a saying in our celestial empire that there is no unbroken feast under the world. Life is like a journey. Although the scenery in front of us is good, it is not a reason for us to stay. We should look forward to the scenery of the next stop. Maybe it will be more beautiful than now. Jiang Pan, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke at this moment, and his words made everyone stunned when they heard it. Jiang, why didn't I find out before? You kid is still very philosophical. Arenas looked at him with some surprise. In fact, even Jiang Pan himself was stunned for a moment. He himself couldn't believe that he could say such a thing. There is also a saying in the Celestial Empire, called deep hiding. Jiang Pan said, be a man. Keep a low profile. Looking at Jiang Pan's old-fashioned appearance, Arenas suddenly had the urge to kill him. This guy is simply talking nonsense with his eyes open, and in terms of Jiang Pan's past behavior, especially when facing media interviews, it is simply arrogant to the extreme. Now I actually dare to say low-key here, it's really Bai Lian who doesn't want it. Know the castle barriers? Your skin is thicker than it is, Arena's tongue complained. Under this mess, the atmosphere of the scene became a little more active, and everyone drank wine and chatted happily. Jiang, have you found an agent? Arena suddenly thought of something. Since they decided to participate in the draft, then the agent must find a good one, and it can't be casual, or will it be killed? It's all here, see for yourself. Saying that, Jiang Pan took out 4 or 5 business cards from his pocket, all of which were the business cards of the agent. I chose the good old man, Bill Duffy, and I think you can consider using him as well. Jiang Pan took Bill Duffy's business card and shook it in front of Arena's. Bill Duffy is a famous agent in the NBA. Perhaps many fans are unfamiliar with this name. He is Yao Ming's agent in the future, and there are many excellent players under it, and now the child of the wind, Steve Nash, is one of them. In the future, there will be many NBA stars, including Yao Ming, Carmelo Anthony, Anthony Davis, and so on. I don't know since when people's image of brokers has been distorted. Many people think that they are greedy and cunning, scheming, and even unscrupulous in order to achieve their own ends, and this culture seems to be expanding. However, in this circle, there are still some parallel and upright people, and obviously Bill Duffy is one of them. He has always been very responsible for his players, and sometimes even at his own expense to compensate for the losses of customers. The famous car/Ted incident is a classic example. It was precisely because of his understanding of him that Jiang Pan decided to choose him as his agent. Bill Duffy, that's a good choice, that's him. Arenas also made a choice. He stared at Bill Duffy's business card for a long time, and then sighed, I don't know if there will be a chance to play with you in the NBA in the future. Richard Jefferson also came over, yes, I don't know if I will have the opportunity to hold my thighs in the future. Lauren Woods said, if I had the opportunity to play with you, I think I would still be a qualified substitute. Of the three, Lauren Woods has the best chance of being on the same team as Jiang Pan. After all, he was only a second-round pick in draft predictions, and both of those two went into the lottery zone. Unless it is through trading, it is difficult to play with Jiang Pan again. How do I think you guys are not reluctant to leave Arizona? Jiang Pan felt more and more that something was wrong. You can't bear to leave me, are you? Listening to these three people, isn't that what it means? What a big truth. Time flies by, and in the blink of an eye, it is the NBA Finals. In the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, the 76ers and Lakers defeated their respective opponents and successfully qualified for the finals. The only difference is that the 76ers went through a difficult 7-game battle to reach the finals. The Lakers, on the other hand, swept the Spurs 4-0 and easily advanced to the finals. The gap between the two teams in the lineup is clear at a glance. Today's Big Shark, O'Neal, has absolute dominance on the pitch. In contrast, the 76ers really couldn't find a second reliable player besides the answer Allen Iverson. Dikembe Mutombo is no longer at his peak, not to mention him now, even Uncle Mu when he was young, and it is difficult to block the Big Shark at his peak under the basket. Few of the media experts in the outside world are optimistic about the 76ers, and they even believe that the Lakers will become the first team in history to win a championship with a winning record. However, in the first game of the finals, these media experts were frantically punched in the face. The 76ers showed a strong fighting spirit in the first game. Regular season MVP Allen Iverson carried the entire team on his shoulders, and his seemingly thin body burst out with a huge amount of energy. In that game, he also left a classic scene of his career. Iverson dangled Tyronn Lue in the bottom corner and, after hitting a shot, stepped over him. This leap seems to have broken the morale of the Lakers. It also made a classic. In the end, with Iverson's super godlike play, the 76ers broke the Lakers' undefeated golden body this season and won the first victory of the finals. However, the Lakers were too strong after all, and after losing the first game, the OK combination began to explode. They played a formidable dominance on the court and suppressed the 76ers from the second game. Even though Allen Iverson tried his best to support, he still couldn't withstand the strong crush of OK. In the end, the Lakers were led by the K combination to 4 consecutive cities, successfully lifted the championship trophy, and won 2 consecutive championships. In this round of the finals, although the 76ers lost the first game, Allen Iverson won everyone's respect. Some people say that if Mutombo is a few years younger, this round of the finals can definitely be fought again, but the reality is brutal, and there will be no ifs. The proud Iverson was not willing to continue to fail like this, and immediately after losing the finals, he called the team's management. Jiang Pan, it's the player we must get. Just this one sentence. AI shows his determination, but also puts a lot of pressure on the management. After all, they are the team that reached the finals. There will be no lottery signing this season, and the only way is to trade in exchange for Jiang Pan. This battle against Jiang Pan is obviously another special final. Since the NCAA Finals, the draft prediction list has also changed. Jiang Pan rose 1 place again, squeezing Jay Williams behind him and ranking first. When the latest draft prediction was announced, it also caused quite a stir in the United States and the Celestial Empire. In history, Jiang Pan is the first player to play just 6 games in the NCAA to be at the top of the prediction list. And for such a ranking, no one questioned, in the eyes of these fans, Jiang Pan is a proper champion. During this time, Jiang Pan was also idle, and the days without competition were really difficult. But fortunately, Jessica Alba and Scarlett John were with him, otherwise he would have gone crazy. After all, in this era, there are no games such as stroking and petting, eating chicken, and even smartphones, which makes Jiang Pan very uncomfortable in daily life. Arenas, and they occasionally come to him to go out high pie, but every time it is either a bar or a nightclub, it is not interesting to go to more. Jiang, in a few days it will be the day of the NBA draft draw. Who do you think will be the top pick? Arenas said leisurely, Washington Wizards. Jiang Pan answered casually, according to the correct historical trajectory, this year's top sign is in the hands of the Wizards. A few days later, everyone is looking forward to it. NBA draft draw opens. Episode 60. The battle for Jiang Pan is intense. The draft officially begins. Every year, the NBA's draft draw causes turmoil in the trade market. This season, all the teams are coming to Jiang Pan, and these teams are willing to pay any price in order to get him. Larry, I think you have a good chance of winning this year's draft. That's the best. Are you ready to exchange chips with us? The Pacers representative said with a smile. Maybe this year's winner is us, but I won't exchange it with you. Representatives of the Cavaliers also walked over. But then again, this center forward from the Celestial Empire is really powerful, and I've never seen a guy like him. Yes, are you all ready to exchange chips? How come? We don't have any chips to get our hands on. The people who can be sent to participate in the draw are all old fritters of various teams, and they have a lot of experience. It is simply impossible to put some words out of their mouths. Although these people say that they are not ready to trade Jiang Pan's chips, they are actually fully prepared. This year's draft did not receive much attention, but because the emergence of Jiang Pan broke the convention, even people's expectations were higher than those of the '96 golden generation, especially those teams with lotto picks. They are secretly praying at this time that they will be able to win the lottery. It's a match of luck and 14 teams will have a chance to compete for the top spot. Half an hour later, the answer to this battle of luck was finally revealed. The Washington Wizards successfully got the top pick. The moment they learned of the draft, the management staff of the Wizards directly boiled, and in their opinion, this is a signal of the team's rise. The other teams are all red-eyed, but the result has already been born, it cannot be changed, and they are doomed to fail. In fact, the Wizards have one more important thing. It is that they and Jordan are inextricably linked. Just a few months ago, Michael Jordan, the god of basketball who has retired for 2 times, approached the management of the Wizards and revealed his intention to return and join the Wizards. Although Jordan is not at his peak at this stage, whether his personal strength can be rated as a star is debatable. But for this reason, during this time, the Wizards are still preparing Jordan to imagine when they use the top pick to select Jiang Pan. Jordan is officially back with the Wizards, and that picture is interesting. Subsequently, the Los Angeles Clippers won this year's top pick. This pick is already high, but the management of the Clippers is completely unhappy. Although they were only 1 pick apart, they missed the opportunity to choose Jiang Pan. The Atlanta Hawks received the scouting pick. They also felt a pang of loss. Look at the champion sign in the hands of the Wizards, and then look at the prospecting signature in their hands. 2 people apart, but they are very different. After the first 3 picks are released, the 414 picks in the lottery area are Chicago Bulls, Golden State Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies, New Jersey Nets, Cleveland Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics, obtained through previous trades, Seattle Supersonics, Houston Rockets, Golden State Warriors. It looks like the Washington Wizards are going to rise next season. That's not necessarily. It depends on whether that Celestial Empire center can adapt to the intensity of the NBA. There are a lot of good players who play well in the NCAA, but not in the NBA. I'm definitely looking at his physicality, and the lower line is also a quasi-all-star level player, so it won't be bad. Yes, after all, the talent of the body is here. Maybe the offensive technique under the basket is a bit rough, but this can be changed through training. For a while, all the fans were talking about it. Although this is only a lottery, these fans have tacitly assumed that the Wizards will use their top picks to select Jiang Pan. According to reliable sources, Jay Williams decided not to participate in the draft, so Jiang Pan's probability of being elected as the top pick is a little greater. At the moment the draw results were announced, many NBA teams contacted Wizards management and tried to seek a trade. "Mr. General Manager, how are our negotiations with the Wizards going?" Maddie couldn't help but send a text message. "I'm still trying to communicate, and I'll fight for it as much as I can." The general manager of the Magic team sent Maddie a message back. When Maddie saw this text message, her heart suddenly became nervous. Although the team's general manager did not say it explicitly, it does not seem that the situation is optimistic. If they can't get the top pick, it means they can't get the Jiang Pan, and the Magic can't rise next season. In addition to Maddie, Vince Carr/T and Kevin Garnett can't wait to ask the management, but the results have not yet been determined. These stars are more anxious than the management of the team. They all want to play with Jiang Pan. They feel that this is the best way to win the championship. Soon, the news about the draw reached the Celestial Empire on the other side of the ocean, causing a heated discussion among Celestial Empire fans. The Wizards got the title. Do you say they will choose Jiang Pan? Of course. How powerful Jiang Pan is, that is the demon god on the court. Exactly. If the Wizards don't choose him, then the management person must be a pig. As long as it is an individual, he will choose Jiang Pan. You look at those teams. In order to get Jiang Pan, they are crazy to trade with the Wizards. Jiang Pan is a piece of fragrant food. Even if you choose him to make a transaction is a huge chip. Not only the Celestial Empire, but now major sports websites around the world are discussing this matter. In the days after the draw, many NBA teams successively threw olive branches to Jiang Pan, and have been trying to trade with the Wizards, and even a series of soap opera memes broke out on the internet, called "Where is Jiang Pan?" Jiang, you are now completely popular on the whole network. Just open a basketball forum, all talking about you. Gilbert Arenas was idle and bored and called Jiang Pan. What's the fuss about? Isn't that normal? You guy, you are still so arrogant, you don't know modesty at all. Arrogant? I'm just talking about a fact, am I? As soon as this remark came out, Arenas was speechless. Jiang Pan is indeed young and frivolous, but people just have the qualifications to say such words. You are not angry. It's like seeing a person very unhappy, but you can't kill him. Jiang, seriously, do you think the Wizards will pick you? I don't care about that, but who else can they choose, besides me? Areniston's face is full of black lines. This guy is really pretending to be forced all the time. I've heard a lot of teams are trading privately with the Wizards. Do you think they're going to trade you out? It doesn't matter, it's the same everywhere you go anyway, but if they do choose to trade, it's going to be the biggest mistake they make. They didn't trade me, they traded the championship. Okay. Come on. I can't stand it anymore. Arenas was speechless. I don't know where you come from with confidence. You haven't played a game. Just think about the championship. The NBA is not the NCAA. That's not a level at all. You have to be prepared to be exploded. Jiang Pan smiled and said, that's when they have to be prepared to be dominated by me. Arenas, pawn. Half a month later, under the anticipation, in 2001, the NBA draft officially came. This year's NBA draft, the Celestial Empire will be broadcast live throughout the entire process. Countless Celestial Empires. Fans are waiting, because Jiang Pan is likely to become the first NBA champion of the Celestial Empire. Jiang. This year's champion is yours. Every year's draft, there are many young talented players, but among these talented players, Jiang Pan is a unique existence. Greeting him was Jason Richardson, from Michigan State University. The two are also unknown to each other, and Jiang Pan defeated him on the way to winning the NCAA championship. I think you can also be selected with the high pick. Jiang Pan made a cold noise. Immediately, he remembered something and looked around. Why didn't you see Zach? Since he was blasted by you, the whole person seems to be depressed, and even the draft prediction has fallen out of the lottery area. He said that you are the dream demon in his heart, and as long as he sees you, he will remember the scene where he was blown up by you, so he is hiding far away now. Richardson sighed. Jiang Pan was speechless. Isn't it just a game? Is it necessary to do this? He wasn't the only one who was blown up by me, making him want to open a little. Richardson's words just now still surprised Jiang Pan. No matter how Zach Randolph is also once the NCAA's #1 interior lineman, now he has fallen out of the lottery zone on the draft prediction list, which is too big. Jiang, you guy is too inflated, right? I heard you turned down trials from a lot of teams? At this time, Gilbert Arenas also arrived at the scene, and he came to find Jiang Pan as soon as possible. For these rookies who are about to enter the BA, tryouts are very important, and it is the beginning of a team getting to know a rookie. During this time, Arenas has tried out 6 or 7 teams, and the response has been very good. It's just that he doesn't understand why Jiang Pan didn't accept any team's tryout, but instead spent all day doing nothing, staying with Jessica Alba and Scarlett Johansson. In his opinion, this is laziness, and in the NBA, no team likes lazy players. Arenas was afraid that Jiang Pan would become more and more swollen and even lose himself under the touting of the outside media. If this leads to a decline in status, it will really be worth the loss. How? Is there anything wrong with this? Jiang Pan didn't care about this. You're going to leave a bad impression on those teams, which haven't entered the NBA yet, so you're so undisciplined, so you'll be careful in the future. Arenas reminded again. Jiang Pan knew that he was thinking about himself at this time, so he didn't say anything more, just nodded. With the blessing of the system, he doesn't need to worry about the decline in strength at all. But he can't tell this secret. By the way, you said that you have been trying out all this time. What was the result? Jiang Pan asked casually. It feels good. I've been training hard for the tryout. I tried 7 teams, and 5 of them expressed interest in me, and 2 even said they would choose me. It's still a great pride to be recognized by NBA teams, and Arena's tone is also full of excitement. Oh? Is it? So shall we compare, whose draft pick is higher? Jiang Pan said with a smile. Are you? Then I'll make a fuss about it. Arenas immediately gave him a blank look. That is, you're not bullying people, are you? A somewhat thick voice sounded behind the two. Jiang Pan turned his head and saw that this was a big man who was about his height. Although it was only the first time he met, Jiang Pan recognized him at a glance. It was the future boxing king, Tyson Chandler. After Jay Williams quit, high school student Tyson Chandler ranked second on the draft prediction list. Tyson, are you going to compete with this guy? Arenas said to Chandler. Chandler quickly waved his hand. Don't misunderstand. I just want to see Jiang's dignity. Although Chandler did not directly fight Jiang Pan, he knew very well that he would not cause a man in the NCAA league singled out. He didn't want to be blasted by the river like Zach Randolph. What are you talking about? So lively. Pau Gasol also came together. We're talking about who can take Jiang's title. That's right. Paul, you are a model of technical insiders, and Jiang happens to be 2 different styles. Maybe you can try it. Hearing this, Paul Gasol was immediately stunned, and he shook his head repeatedly. No, I'm afraid. Seeing these people recognized one by one, Jiang Pan was also disappointed. What's going on with these guys? How come I don't even have this bit of courage? Arenas looked at the time. It's almost time. It's time to enter the little green room. As soon as these words came out, these people all stood behind Jiang Pan and pushed him into the small green room. Don't underestimate this little green room, which is the focus of the NBA draft. because only players in the lottery zone are eligible to enter. Jiang Pan, Tyson Chandler, Paul Gasol, Eddie Curry, these are the players who have the best chance to hit the top 3 picks. All 4 are big men, in addition to Gilbert Arenas, Jason Richardson, Richard Jefferson, and other old acquaintances. Every year's draft is the most important event in the NBA offseason, so NBA Commissioner David Stern will personally preside. Fans sat in front of the TV, waiting for the start of the conference. A moment later, I saw NBA Commissioner David Stern walk up to the podium. Ladies, gentlemen, tonight will be a unique night, and I announce that the 2001 NBA Draft has officially begun.